So you get a Horadric cube very early on in Diablo 2 Resurrected, but there's more uses for it than just completing the staff for the quest in Act 2. You can actually make a ton of very useful stuff or transmute different things like runes and gems in order to get even better items. So today we're going over the full list of all the different Horadric cube recipes, and I'll let you know which ones you kind of just want to skip over and not do, and which ones even the OG and veteran players use all the way to the end of the game. Alright, we'll go ahead and jump into it here. I just want to say real quick, some of these are incredibly basic for the super new people, but there are also some stuff that obviously will help other new people, but will also help out people who've been playing Diablo 2 for a long time, and now they're coming to Diablo 2 Resurrected, and the returning players. There's a little bit of everything in here, so make sure you stick around, stick tight for the whole video, and you're gonna learn something. So, super basic, obviously, for the super new people. You use the cube, you're gonna use it in Act 2 to complete the final quest in that anyways, but you put items in the cube, you transmute it, it combines the items together in order to make a different item. So we're not going to go over this full paragraph here. We'll move down to the first Horadric cube recipe that I have had people ask me before, and that is how to make the secret cow level. You just get a Wirt's leg from Tristram. You have to go over to the lower left-hand corner of the map. You click on Wirt's body over there. Wirt's leg comes out. You combine Wirt's leg with a Tomb of Town portal, and you get yourself a secret cow level. Now, you must do this in the rogue encampment. That is important, so remember that. And you must have defeated Baal. Don't worry about this Diablo part. That would be if you didn't have the expansion, but obviously if you're playing Diablo 2 Resurrected, you have the expansion. So you have to have completed Baal in order to open the portal. Completely disregard this. This is, I don't know why this is here. I'm gonna have to talk to somebody to get this removed from the site actually, because this is no longer a thing. Back in the day for Diablo 2, you had to have not killed the Cow King before, not got credit for killing the Cow King quest. But now in Diablo 2 Resurrected, that is no longer a thing, so you don't need to worry about that. We'll move down to the Pandemonium event here, and that is getting keys. It is important to note here, this one, you have to do it in Act 5 Town, so that's, just something to note if you're going to do the Pandemonium event. You've probably seen some of these keys around, but if you're new, maybe you haven't, or if you haven't gotten to hell yet, but you need Key of Hate, a Key of Terror, and a Key of Destruction. The first one here you get from the Countess, the Key of Hate. The Key of Terror you get from the Summoner, and the Key of Destruction you get from Neelathak, all in hell obviously. They all have different drop odds, so you're not going to find one every time, but you transmute those together, and you get a portal to one of these three places: Matron's Den, the Furnace of Pain, or the Forgotten Sands. When you transmute it, whichever one pops up is going to be random, but it is important to note that you cannot get the same portal twice in the same game. So you're not going to want to make a game, make a portal, go in it, and go get one of these next pieces that I'm about to talk about, and then make a new game and make another portal, because you don't know what's going to come up. You're going to want to make all three in the same game, so you need 3 sets of the keys and make 3 portals in the same game. That way you can get all 3 pieces in order to make the next portal. And we'll go ahead and look right at that now. Baal's Eye, Diablo's Horn, and Mephisto's Brain. So in those, there's Lilith in one, there is Izuel in another, and then there's, I think, Duriel in the other one. I can't remember offhand there. I believe that's correct. But in each one of those, there's a boss. You kill them, and you get one of these pieces. Transmute these 3 pieces here together, and you make a red portal to Uber Tristram, and in there, you got Uber Baal, Uber Diablo, and Uber Mephisto, and that is where, after you kill those 3, you get a torch. So that is the cube recipe on how to farm torches. We'll keep going here, and we'll look at the upgrade recipes, and this is super important. Every single person, always, ever, will use these in some form or fashion, so make sure you pay attention here if you're new. So 3 chip gems will go to a flawed. And this is just important to know, because any type of gem, you just take 3 of them of the same type and the same quality, and it'll go to the next one. What everyone always ends up doing a ton. 3 flawless, you go to a perfect. And that it says topaz here as an example, but obviously any type of gem that will work with. That's how you get the perfect amethyst in order to make caster amulets, and how you get just a ton of perfect gems. Maybe you're cubing them together to do some other recipes a little bit further down, or some crafting, which I did just make a video just before this one about. You can also upgrade runes. Now you see this works right here, up to Ort. 3 Ort runes equals 1 Thal rune. You can do this with any of the runes up to Ort, 3 Ls equal an Eld, 3 Elds equal a tier, etc., down this list here. But you do see that after Ort, you do need to acquire actually different types of gems in order to continue to upgrade the higher runes. So Thulls, 3 Thulls, and you need a chip topaz to get to Amen and etc. down here. The further down you go here, maybe you'll notice once you get to Lem, you get a pull, but then it only takes 2 pulls. So take note of that. Once you get higher, you need less runes in order to cube up just the 2 instead of the 3. But it keeps changing. Now you have flawed gems in order to cube up the runes. Then you have normal gems in order to cube up those runes. Once you get to the very high runes down here, Low, Sir, Bur, Ja, and Cham, you actually need flawless gems. They're not particularly hard to find the gems. It's just another requirement to make it ever so slightly more difficult, I suppose. In my opinion, it's just kind of a waste of time to have to get gems in order to do this. It's incredibly annoying, but it is part of the game, so make sure you keep that in mind. So if you do find Sirs, just remember for some rune values, obviously Burs are incredibly valuable. So you can just cube 2 Sir runes together in a flawless amethyst in order to get a Bur rune. And that is actually on single player how a lot of people end up getting their Bur rune, because Sirs are much more common from lower Kuras than than the Bur runes are for sure. So, and we'll keep on scrolling down now into some of the stuff that will help out lower level people, and that is cubing things together in order to get different types of potions and things like that. Now this one, really early on, especially for new people, if you're struggling, this could literally save your life multiple times over. You can take any type, any quality of health potion and any mana potion and 1 chip gem and get a partial rejuvenation potion. You see right here, you could literally walk over to the vendors, buy all the potions you need, and take your chip gems that you just have sitting in your stash, not using for anything, and get a bunch of rejuvenation potions. Partial here. The next one under it, we'll just go over it right quick here too. Mana potions and health potions, and then a normal quality gem, and you get a full rejuvenation potion. Now the difference here is because if you use a health potion, your health will go up slowly. But if you use a rejuvenation potion, as I'm sure you have seen so far, your health, boom, explodes up. The partial one does 1/3 of your health, and the full rejuvenation potion does full health. And it also does the mana too, but the important thing is chugging a potion like this when you're really close to death, and it will save your life, give you a chance to run away. So all you need is to get some gems, and you can literally go over to any vendor and buy any type of potions, the 3 health and the 3 mana, and cube them together and get as many rejuves as you really want. And also, if you do find 3 partial rejuves, you can cube 3 of those together in order to get 1 full rejuvenation potion. So we'll take a little scroll down a little bit further, and this one I got asked a bunch of times, really, because I kind of don't remember necessarily when making videos that people wouldn't necessarily know these particular simple cube recipes, but I do get asked it quite often, like re-rolling spirit rune words. People, what do you mean re-roll? This is exactly what I mean. You can put Talthal or Amen in the spirit shield, or into the monarch I mean, and make a spirit shield. And then if it doesn't roll good, maybe it rolls real bad, or you have one of those builds where you need the perfect 35 FCR spirit, you throw a hell rune, a town portal, and that item, the monarch in this case, with the spirit in it, and cube it, and it will remove everything in it. And by that I mean all the runes. It is important to mention those runes will no longer exist. They just disappear, poof. But the base item with the 4 open sockets in this case still remains, so you can put Talthal or Amen in it again and make another spirit shield, see how the FCR rolls on it, the faster cast rate, and then if it does get the amount of faster cast rate that you're looking for, you're good to go. If not, you throw another hell rune, another town portal in there, and you can cube it again, throw more runes in it. That way you won't waste the base on a really bad roll for a rune word. Now there's a few more here, such as this one and this one. We're just going to skip right over that. This changing a low quality weapon to a normal quality weapon, nobody does that. Nobody changes a low quality armor to a normal quality armor. I'm sure down in the comment section, there's always somebody that does a thing, but I don't see any particular reason why you'd ever want to do that. There's not a ton of occasions. I've personally never done this before because I find a ton of socketed armors around, but if you would want to, a Tal, a Thul, a perfect topaz, and a normal body armor, you can throw those in a cube, and that's a normal body armor with no sockets in it, that's white, and then you can get a socketed body armor. It'll roll between the minimum and the maximum number of sockets that armor can get. If it's a one from hell or whatever here, you got 1 to 4 sockets. But when you cube something in Diablo 2, it always randomly rolls between 1 and 6 sockets. But if the item can't have 5 or 6 sockets, such as armor, it will default to the maximum number, which is 4 that it can get. So you really have a 50% chance of getting 4 open sockets, and then a 1 in 6 chance of 1, 2, and 3. One that I use way more often, will scroll down right here, and that is this one right here, Ral Amin, a perfect amethyst, and the weapon. Sometimes it can be so incredibly frustrating not being able to get a base or an insight, because you want to get a good ethereal base, and you want it to also roll with the 4 open sockets to get insight, or to put an infinity in. Now, you will find way more bases that are ethereal that don't have 4 open sockets in it, and then you can throw this recipe in the cube, and you can cross your fingers and hope you get 4 open sockets. Now, a lot of the pole arms can get either 5 open sockets or 6 open sockets. The Colossus Vulge can get a max of 4, so if you did cube a Colossus Vulge, you have a 50% chance of getting 4 open sockets. The other ones, let's say you have a Thresher or a Great Poleaxe, if you took them to Larzik and did that quest reward for it, you would get on the Thresher 5 open sockets, on the Great Poleaxe 6 open sockets. Now, you definitely cannot use a Larzik quest on those, but if you find a normal Ethereal Thresher or a Great Poleaxe, or there's other varieties of polearms, you can throw them in the cube with this recipe right here, and you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting 4 open sockets. Or in the case of the Colossus Vulge, you have a 50% chance of getting 4 open sockets, making it then a perfect base for an insight or for an infinity. There's probably a lot of other different uses besides just an infinity or an insight base, but that's where I use this one a ton, so that's why I kind of focused on it so much for this particular cube recipe. We'll keep scrolling down here. There's the one for the helms, and, Ralthal, a perfect sapphire. It's the same concept, but I personally never used this one before. That's just me, I guess. There's never really been a time when I needed to get a socketed helm that badly. And the same thing for a shield. I guess if you find a really good base for a Pally Insight or a Pally Spirit, or maybe you just want to take your chances and take your White Monarch and use this quest, because really you do have a 50% chance of getting a 4 open socketed Monarch if you use this quest. So that's if you don't have any more Larzik quests, or you just want to take that chance on it. And it is important to mention too, for these adding sockets in this cube recipe, they have to be normal white. They cannot be superior, they cannot be cracked or whatever. They have to be just the normal white items. They can't have 12% increased defense or increased damage or anything like that. They just be normal white. We'll scroll down to the item upgrades right here. So 3 perfect skulls, a rare item, and a stone of Jordan adds 1 socket to a rare item. You think you're going to do that one a lot? No, we don't need to talk about that. No one's wasting a stone of Jordan adding a socket to a rare item. Come on, bro. So here we got a normal unique upgrading to exceptional. This one will be used occasionally. There are instances where you want to upgrade maybe your Mage Fist to the next higher level of base item. Now, it will increase the strength requirement for those items, but you need to take that in consideration. Sometimes it can jump up quite a bit. So you usually, I would say, don't necessarily upgrade your items unless you know that it's going to help you out. It will stay ethereal. If it is ethereal, it will stay socketed, whatever it is socketed. So it will stay pretty much the same. It'll just up the base. And like I said, it'll increase that strength requirement or dex requirement or whatever the requirements that change from the base item to the next one. So you can do the same thing for a unique armor here with a Tal, a Shale, and a perfect diamond. Go up to the elite version. Everything else on it is the exact same as the one I just explained, so I won't say the exact same thing again. But you also here exceptional weapons to the elite versions. Come down here. These are ones that you'll probably use even more, but you notice the rune requirement is even higher. This takes a Ko, a Lem, and a perfect diamond, and a unique armor that's exceptional in order to go up to the elite version. Times that people will do this will be things like the skin of the Viper Magi, from the serpent skin up to the worm hide, or however you pronounce that. I think it's worm hide anyways. And just as I said before, it's all applies still here. It still stays ethereal. If it has the sockets in it, the sockets stay the same. And the level or the strength requirements and dex requirements and all the different requirements on it will go up based upon the base item level requirements. So make sure you keep that in consideration if you do any of these. Another one that I've used occasionally is when you find a really good rare item and it's one of the lower level bases. Maybe it's like a Volge and it rolls with like 397% enhanced damage or something and like increased attack speed, and you're like, man, why couldn't this be a Colossus Volge or something? Well, you can actually use cube recipes in order to upgrade rare items. So even though it's incredibly uncommon to find really good rare items, you can increase your chances by picking up and identifying lower level rare items. Even though the enhanced damage won't make the damage that high, you can then upgrade that item once or twice depending on what it is and make the damage or the defense or whatever it is on it incredibly high with a good roll on it. So it increases your chances of getting good rares. So right here you see Ort Am in a perfect sapphire and that normal basic rare item to the exceptional version, and everything kind of stays the same as when we were looking up here at the upgrading the unique versions. When you look at the rare stuff, if it's ethereal, it stays that way. If it has sockets, it stays that way. Everything stays the same. It just ups from one base to the next, and it will increase the requirements as in regards to strength and stuff like that on it. So and down here, obviously you can do the same for the armors. I would never upgrade a rare armor though. I wouldn't even waste a Ral Rune and an Amethyst on doing it. There's no real good rare armors, but rare weapons. This is where I was talking about a Fall and a Perfect Sapphire. And if you get a crazy roll on a lower level rare item, you can up it, and it could turn out really wild and really awesome, to be honest. And once again, Copal and an Amethyst on an exceptional rare. I ain't doing that ever. We'll scroll down to repairs and recharging here. Now you can actually fully repair a weapon here with an Ort Rune and that weapon in a cube. That way maybe the weapon has a crazy high repair cost if you go to a vendor to repair it, to an armor or whatever you want to call it. But this does not repair ethereal items and does not replenish charges. And it's pretty simple, just Ort Rune the weapon, boom, repairs it. But if you want to fully repair armor, a Ral Rune and the armor, you throw it in your cube and it'll fully repair it. A lot of people do this. Maybe they have a superior armor base in their Enigma. It could cost like 1,000,000 gold. I'm not even kidding, like 1,000,000 gold to repair that item. You got to do it more frequently than you would imagine. So in that case, people would quite often use this. Personally, I would just never make an Enigma in that type of base, but some people will. Another one that people use kind of often here is an Ort Rune, any chipped gem, and the weapon fully repairs and recharges that weapon. So if you have a Telly Staff or something like that, an Ort Rune, and a chipped gem, boom, fully repaired, a life tap wand, a lower res wand, things like that. It depends on how much it really costs to repair it. Usually, in my opinion, it would be better off just getting the gold and saving the runes and not wasting the time picking up all these chipped gems in order to do this, in order to recharge weapons. But maybe some people would disagree with that. If you want to do it with armor, a Ral Rune, a flawed gem here of any kind, and that armor fully repairs and recharges the armor. Now, this is one I've literally never used before, just because charges on armor. I mean, why? I don't know what type of armor you're doing that has charges on it, but maybe you would. I'll just bring it to your attention. But here's some more that I would say you never really ever use. But 2 quivers turn into 1 arrow, 2 arrows turn into 1 bolt, and I meant to say 2 bolts, excuse me. But a spear and the arrows turns into a stack of javelins. Like, these are just, you don't want to worry about doing that. Antidote potions are so cheap, just go buy them. Don't even worry about doing that stuff. Maybe here, recycling recipes. This is some stuff maybe early on, just because you don't find a ton of rings and amulets, or if you just want to, maybe just for fun, you know, it's just like finding an extra magic item essentially. But if you save up 3 amulets here and transmute them, and you'll get 1 magic ring. You save up 3 magic rings, you get 1 random magic amulet. There's a calculation here to how it comes up with what it is. It's 3/4 of the level of the character who rolls it. So, I mean, that's not going to mean a whole lot to a lot of people, and you'd have to be like such a high level in order to get 2 to skills. It wouldn't really be possible here. So, but that is something you can do if you're early on, if you want to just save them up and transmute them. It's like finding extra amulets and rings around. few other down here. 6 perfect skulls and a rare item. I've seen it occasionally people will use this with diadems because or circlets because they'll end up being high enough level. They could still roll godly, but really, that's going to be a ton of skulls, and the odds of it coming up something good. I guess if you have them laying around, you could do it, but a lot of people won't have to bother with that one. Perfect skull, a rare item, and a stone of Jordan. You get another high quality rare item of the same kind. Like, yeah, right, Blizzard. You think anyone's throwing a stone of Jordan and just like poofing it like that to get a rare? We'll just skip past that one. 3 perfect gems here and 1 magic item, a new magic rare item, or a new magic item of the same kind. This is another one that I would personally never use. It's just not worth wasting the gems on that unless, read down here a little bit more, the charms. If you find a Bale charm, a Neolithic charm, or a Diablo charm, and when I say a charm, I mean a charm from them that they dropped, they will have a high enough item level in order to roll up to 45 to life. Normally life is capped on a Gram charm at 40, but from them, if they're a high enough item level because of their monster level, that they can roll up to 45. So if you cube 3 perfect gems with a Grand charm from one of those 3 people, it can be a 45 to life skiller. You'll have to roll a bunch of them and get pretty lucky, but a lot of people do this because what else are you doing with perfect gems? You can save them up. You get 1 Grand charm that you know is from one of those 3 people. Just keep rolling it as you get more perfect gems, and hopefully one time you'll get super lucky, get a super good skill, and it will be worth a ton. We're just going to quickly go over these, a lot of these magical item creations, because a lot of these I don't personally use hardly ever, but for health potions, a ruby of any type, and a magic sword, you get a magic sword of leech, and it could roll with some other things on it. You know, there's a chance of getting random prefixes as well. I couldn't really see, maybe super early on you get a ruby, get any potions, and you could get a sort of leech, maybe like in Act 1 or Act 2 of normal or something, but that's about the only time I could see to ever use that. 6 perfect gems and an amulet. You get a prismatic amulet here, so 16 to 20 on the all resistance. I couldn't see really using that either, because by that time that you'd get one of each perfect gem, you're probably going to have something better than just like a 16 all res amulet, but there is a possibility that maybe you'd want to do that. And then we'll just look real quick, all the magic rings here of emerald, ruby, blah blah blah. One takes exploding, antidote, rejuvenation. They all take different stuff, and they all add 21 to 30 to the different resistances, kind of based upon whichever gem you have to put in there. So I'll just quickly mention that. I've personally never done that, but maybe if you just really need that resistance, maybe. Right here, this spiked shield one, I'm just not even going to talk about it. I would never do that one. I just never use it, so we're just not going to talk about it. We'll leave it at that. But here is one that a lot of people use in Act 2 of normal, getting that Act 2 mercenary, and you use 1 diamond. You can buy a staff from a vendor, you can buy a Chris from a vendor, you can buy a belt from a vendor, and then you make yourself a savage polearm class weapon. So it rolls randomly. We'll skip to the 3rd one here first, but the polearm can be one of these 3, one of these here, and the polearm is 66 to 80% enhanced damage, and early on, that's actually a ton. In Act 2, and then you're going in Act 3 and Act 4, that is a ton. You don't have your insight yet. This is probably going to be the best that you can get. You're not going to be able to make a lot of the rune words that could really help out your Act 2 mercenary, so don't sleep on this one for Act 2 of normal. Once again, I'm going to reiterate: a diamond, a staff, a Chris, and a belt. Another one you might use early on, just if you don't have anything better to use your chip gems on, obviously. 3 chip gems and a magic weapon, a socketed magic weapon. So this is good to use, let's say if you're using a sorcerer's orb, or if you have a necromancer wand, you can just throw that in the cube with 3 chip gems, and boom, it can roll, and maybe, you never know, it could come and get the skills on it that you're looking for on your character. So if you just got the gems burning holes in your cube, or burning holes in your stash, I mean, just go ahead and throw them into the magic weapon. That is the class specific one, if you're one of those type of characters that have class specific weapons, that is, and maybe you can get some good skills on it. Now there is down here socketed magic weapon here with 3 standard gems. I mean, no one really does that, because by that time you're getting all these standard gems, you're probably not really gonna need to worry about that. Flawless gems and a magic weapon, a socketed magic weapon. Once again, you're not gonna want to really do that, because by that time you're just not gonna really need to worry about that kind of stuff. The very last one here, how to get unlimited respecs in Diablo 2 Resurrected. So This one you have to be in hell when you kill these bosses, but you get a twist and essence of suffering, which you get from Hell Mephisto or Duriel, the charged essence of hatred, which you get from Mephisto, the essence of terror that you get from Diablo, and the essence of destruction you get from Baal. They don't drop every time. They are semi-uncommon. I don't know if it's 1 in 5, 1 in 10, 1 in 20. The odds, you know, the way odds work, you never know how often you're going to find it necessarily, but you get one of each of these 4. From those hell bosses, you transmute them together, you get the token of absolution. And then you can use that token of absolution to reset all your stats and all your skills. And if you have used all of your Den of Evil quest rewards in order to reset your character, this is a way that you can do it too. You can usually trade for these because it's kind of weird that you have to beat the game and then beat all these bosses a bunch of times. If you need to respec, your character probably isn't good enough to beat these bosses. So I kind of wish they would have done this the way that they did in Project Diablo 2, how you can actually get these from nightmare bosses. And I'm talking about Project Diablo 2 there. In Diablo 2 Resurrected, you have to kill the hell bosses in order to get these and get your token of absolution. I hope that video helped you out. Huge shout out to the channel members. With your support, you make making videos and streaming on this channel possible. Destroy that like button and subscribe up before you go. And make sure you check out one of these videos right over here, because YouTube, you know, they know everything about you and they think that you're gonna like one of these videos. So peace out, YouTube. Hopefully I catch you next video, and don't forget, keep slaying.